How's it going, everybody? Welcome to 2A News Now. And as always here at 2A News Now, you get your Second Amendment news straightforward and to the point with no BS added in. I'm sorry I haven't made a video in the past couple of days. I had either some type of a stomach virus or it's something that I ate. Pardon my pun, but I was feeling pretty crappy for those past 2 days. But I'm doing much better now. And most of you have probably heard this already, but I wanted to give my take on it. How ironic is it that one of the most Second Amendment hating Supreme Court judges, a teenager, tried to carjack her bodyguard's car? And how stupid do you have to be to try to carjack the bodyguard of a Supreme Court justice? It was one of the bodyguards of Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sodor. And like I said, we know how much she hates the Second Amendment because she's a Democrat and she voted against McDonald versus Chicago. And of course, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin. And of course, it's rules for me, but not for thee. She can have armed bodyguards, but she doesn't want anybody else to be able to protect themselves and their families from criminals like that. This happened on Friday, outside the justice's home. There were 2 bodyguards stationed outside of her home, one in one vehicle and one in another. This happened a little bit after 1 a.m. in the morning. One of the U.S. Marshals was sitting in his car outside the Supreme Court Justice's home when an 18-year-old approached the bodyguard's car. He pointed the gun at the bodyguard in an attempt to steal the car. And the marshal did what he was trained to do. He drew his gun and fired several shots at the attempted carjacker. But that's not all. A second U.S. Marshal exited the other vehicle and shot at the attempted carjacker as well. The attempted carjacker is lucky that he's alive, and he was taken to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and neither of the marshals were injured in the incident. The 18-year-old was arrested and charged with armed hijacking and carrying a pistol without a license. Oh, that's a big surprise, isn't it? And also having possession of a large capacity magazine. No surprise there either. And of course, Washington D.C. has a ton of gun laws that make it harder for the law-abiding citizen to protect themselves against scumbags like this. And of course, it's very obvious those laws did nothing to stop this guy. And if you're able to get a concealed carry permit in D.C., you're only allowed to carry a 10-round magazine. And just a reminder, last October, a congressman was carjacked at gunpoint near his D.C. home. But not 1 or 2, but 3 robbers. And let's not forget, in November of 2023, that were stationed outside the home of one of President Joe Biden's granddaughters, shot at 2 teens who were trying to get away after stealing $1,000 worth of property that was being used for members of the first family. Those 2 teens got away, but were later arrested. One was 19 years old and the other was 14 years old. And the 14-year-old was arrested later on after he committed a carjacking. And get this, the 14-year-old was wearing a court-ordered ankle bracelet when they broke into that Biden family car. And this just goes to show you how much Judge Sotomayor hates the Second Amendment. She joined the dissent in the Supreme Court case, McDonald versus Chicago. And here's what that dissent said. In sum, the framers did not write the Second Amendment in order to protect a private right of armed self-defense. There has been and is no consensus that the right is or was fundamental. And like I said, that just goes to show you how much Judge Sotomayor hates the Second Amendment. And the judge is lucky she wasn't in the car at the time, because even though there was 2 U.S. Marshals there and they shot at this guy, they wounded him. If she was in the car, he easily could have got shots off on her. But of course, we all know he's stupid enough. He didn't know who he was carjacking. One of the Democrats' Supreme Court justices and the Democrats in Congress going to learn that it's not right for them to have protection and for us not to have any protection at all, or limit what we can have to protect ourselves and our family. And also, when are they going to learn that all of these laws that they pass or try to pass do nothing to stop the criminals, but impede the law-abiding citizen from protecting themselves and their families? But of course, we can say that until we're blue in the face, and they just don't care. As always, I would really like to hear your thoughts about today's video in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed today's video, and if you want to help the channel out and help it to continue to grow, please just take a few seconds of your time to like, share, and subscribe and hit those post notifications. I really would appreciate it. And I invite you to come back and watch my next video.